Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ahead for Business. My name is Cini, and our original plan was to interview a gentleman by the name of Jordan Marks, who is the assessor for the county of San Diego in Southern California. And it's a great story, and we'll have to bring it to you at some point in the future because unforeseen circumstances arise every now and then, and for those reasons, he's not able to join us today. But we do have a program for you on a very timely subject of how do you go from knowing something to actually doing something, and to offer expert advice on that subject. We have my co-host and my dear friend and my mentor, as she often refers to me, and also the founder of USA Global TV and Radio, and her name is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Mr. Cini, how are you today?
I'm okay today. And, before we start on your subject, which I think is critical and actually embarrasses me a little because I have the problem that you address, and we'll talk about that. I'm willing to confess to it. I'm willing to cop to it. I did want to mention a little bit about Jordan Marks. Jordan Marks will be joining us in a future episode, probably later this summer, and we'll get that scheduled for sure. And what would have been a great program, I think, and will be a great future program, is a discussion of how government really needs to serve people, that being his story. And the way I heard his story, the best way to know whether your people are doing their jobs is people tell you that they're doing their jobs. And I have an associate, trusted colleague, great person named Laura DeMarco, who works for us in Southern California. And her job in SoCal is to develop conversations on the subject of teams and team development, which is obviously an important subject for me. And on that topic, she recently visited the San Diego assessor's office to get some work done and was amazed at the opposite experience that she expected. That is that everybody was on it. They were concerned, empathetic, and caring, and actively involved, and listened to her carefully. And she was so amazed by that. I think it was so unexpected. Most people don't expect that from government. I think it was so unexpected. She thought that Jordan would be a terrific interview. And I agree. I had a chance to pre-interview Jordan the other day, and he has a lot to say and a very unique and interesting approach to government service. And I'm looking forward to bringing that story forward in maybe a month or two here on USA Global TV and Radio. But today, the subject is why it's not just good enough to know something. So maybe you can talk a little bit. Recently saw a post. I get posts all the time about things I'm generally embarrassed by. One of them is, how do you shorten the difference between getting an idea and making it happen? How do you compress the space between those two events? And I think that's what you wanted to talk about a little bit. So I'll shut up now. It's your turn.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm sure Jordan's going to be an excellent guest, and people can check back on our playlists and our YouTube channels to see more information, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Mm.
I have found in my experience coaching people, doing private advisory, leading a team, and even throughout my own career, that there are many times, Al, that we have information. We know information about ourselves, about what we're supposed to do, about what's best for us, about what the doctor ordered. And even though we know the information, we do not take action. And one of the biggest areas is in our health. We know the things that we're not supposed to eat. We hear about it all the time. Stay away from sugar, stay away from caffeine, stay away from nicotine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, that information, the knowledge of it, isn't enough for us to take action in some cases. Recently, I was speaking to a cohort of individuals and I shared with them information that I had learned about a bottle of Coca-Cola. And I think I mentioned this to you before. I'm not a soda drinker. I haven't had soda in, I want to say 30 years or more, but I know many people like their soda. And so in a bottle of Coca-Cola, what I understand is there are 39 grams of sugar, which, depending on your age and other statistics where you are in the world, that is more sugar than you should consume in a day. And when I shared this with people and showed the bottle of the Coca-Cola, and then I showed a bowl of sugar, an image of sugar that has 39 grams of sugar in it, I said to people, now that you see this bowl of sugar and you know that it has 39 grams of sugar in it, would that deter you from having a bottle of Coca-Cola? And the answer was no. And then when I shared with people an image of 2 shot glasses that had sugar in them, and I said, imagine throwing down this amount of sugar. Is that enough of a deterrent for you to stop? And the answer was no. So even though people know information, sometimes it's not enough for them to take action. So my newest book, which is coming out later this year, is called Stop: Why Knowing Isn't Enough.
Well, that's a great subject, and I mean, you hear so much content these days online, so many cautionary tales. There is no point to a reel on Instagram or a story on LinkedIn unless it advises some action on your part in some way that you can use that could make your life better. And I think that is reminding people that it's no point watching something unless you're planning to learn something from it, and learning should shape behavior. And that, I think a lot of people miss that point.
Absolutely. One of the other areas I just want to touch on, I know that you are a fitness freak like I am, is about lifting weights, and how we know, especially for women, lifting heavy weights is really important. But when I go to the gym, I might be the oldest person in a class, and the women are lifting 5, 10, 12-pound dumbbells. Yesterday, I did 40-pound rows. And that was the first time at 63 I've ever even picked up 40-pound dumbbells. And the point is, I know that it's good for me to lift heavier weights. And so I decided to take action. But was I intimidated when I looked over at the weight rack and saw the 40-pound dumbbells? I sure was. But a 40-pound dumbbell can represent anything in your life that's keeping you back. So Al, you might know that there's something that you want to accomplish, and maybe you've been working on it for a long time, and yet something prevents you from moving to the next step. This is obviously a true scenario.
Yeah, okay.
Just because
So I
we're
see
friends.
I see where you're going with this. I do want to point out for people who may have just tuned in that our original interview with Jordan Marks, who is the assessor for San Diego County, will be rescheduled for a future date. We weren't able to interview him today because I think he might have been tied up elsewhere. So we've started the show on a different subject. Just want to let everybody know, if you're waiting on that interview will happen. It'll probably happen later this summer. But to your point, it is. What is the difference? I mean, what is the difference between an idea and an action? And sometimes I think people slip into the trap. Maybe since you kind of essentially pointed at me when you were talking. Yeah, I know. In order to make something actually happen, here's the challenge. A lot of people are big picture people. I mean, they like the big picture of things, and they say kind of are always looking ahead. at the ultimate result of whatever it is they might have brewing in their heads. They're always looking at that. Unfortunately, 99% of the time, in order to get to that result, you've got to do the opposite of what a big picture person likes to do, which is hour by hour, day by day, set milestones for yourself and accomplish those milestones by doing some very detailed, what a lot of people would refer to as grunt work. And big picture people are just not really inclined to, they're not necessarily bad at it. They just rather think big picture, if you know what I mean. So when I confess that I haven't gotten finished with the stuff that I know I need to get done, which I'm finally working on, except not right now, I think a lot of it just has to do with I'm so wrapped up in what I know will ultimately be the revolution that I can cause that I've forgotten that getting to that revolution means mustering a lot of little details and soldiers in order to make that revolution happen, which I am, I guess I keep hoping somebody will come along and do that for me, but I've now given up. That's not going to happen.
Let me know when they show up with their magic wand.
I will. When somebody comes along and actually closes on all those details, and when that magic happens, I'll let you know, because then you could use it. But see, detail orientation though has always been something you've been very good at. I mean, that's something you're naturally inclined toward, isn't it?
It is, and I'm also of the mindset that whatever it is that I don't want to do is what I need to get done first. And so for me, I now love exercise. I just use that because it's a huge part of my life. That comes first. That is the priority over everything else. So my entire day is scheduled around when I'm working out. And if I don't get to work out mentally, I have an issue because I know how good it is for me. And it's almost like running USA Global TV and radio or writing books or doing keynote speeches. I absolutely love it. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it. So Al, what I'd like to just put out to our audience is many times people do not move forward because they're not passionate about whatever it is. And some of the things you can think of, we in the States, we have to pay the government taxes, right? That's not something that we look forward to doing, but it's something that we absolutely have to do. And so I've heard people talk, well, I don't want to pay the government anymore. Well, sorry, I guess you have to move somewhere else because this is part of the reality. So people look at other things, other aspects of their life in a similar sort of way. But if you want to move forward, you have got to take action. And I think that's what really separates people who are successful from the people who have the big dreams. And one other comment, and then I throw it to you, which is, I also think sometimes people are procrastinators because they consistently overanalyze and they worry. If I don't do this, if I do this, and they start mapping out the whole flow chart, but they don't look at it the other way. If we were to turn it on its head, which is, what good things will happen when I do this? When I'm on the other side of the wall, of the fence, of the rainbow, I see myself over there. What are the good things that are happening for me there?
Well, okay. Okay. So, all right. So here, I guess what we want to do is try to give people advice, right? I mean, that's what we sort of.
Well, I think just sharing our own experiences and people can take from it what they want.
And okay, listen, my professional background, as you know, is project management, and everything about project management is individual, tiny little details that people may not be particularly excited about, just to put it mildly. It's kind of like you mentioned taxes. April 15th is obviously the big day in the world of taxes. Oh, April 14th becomes the day when all the work happens. I mean, all of a sudden everybody realizes, oh my God, April 15th is what? Where did this come from? And so April 14th is when a lot of people actually get around to doing the paperwork that they need to do in order to hit the deadline of April 15th. So a lot of it is, it's funny, there's an assessment, an individual personal assessment called the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator that went through a bunch of evolutions. And in one of their more recent evolutions, they needed to deal with the personality trait of procrastination. But they didn't want to use the word procrastination because nobody likes to be called a procrastinator. So in explaining that based on your assessment results, you might have a tendency toward that, they refer to it by using the phrase pressure prompted. which I think is kind of a euphemism for procrastinator. I mean, that's kind of it. And I think a challenge that you have very successfully overcome is the challenge that big picture thinkers have when it comes time to breaking that big picture down into little individual accomplishments that need to be addressed and ticked off. How do we make a list that has to be checked off, that when all those items are checked off is the big picture that you're so much in love with and that you want to make happen? And a lot of people have kind of an aversion to even creating the list, because once you've made that list of things that have to happen, you've essentially hung that list around your neck and made you the person responsible for making them happen. And until you do that, you're in this weird, you talk about quantum physics every now and then, and I know that's something that in some of your other programs you explore with people. A thing isn't a thing until a decision is made about it. And it's one of the basic elements of quantum physics. Everything else until then is in this state of superposition, where it might be this or it might be that, or it might be here or it might be there. And it's not definitely anything, and it's not definitely anywhere until somebody has made some observation about it. Until somebody has taken some action, if you know what I mean. And the frustrating thing for me is that, and I can tell you this from my experience, once you've taken an action, it triggers all the other ones. So the challenge to getting things done isn't getting them done, the stuff at the bottom of the list. The challenge to getting things done is to start with the thing at the top of the list as quickly as you can, because that leads to getting the second thing on the list and the third thing on the list done. If you see what I mean. I mean, projects fail not because they don't get finished. They fail because they never get started in the first place. Like April 14th, all these things I have to do to get my taxes ready. I mean, that I think is a big part of it, a big element of it.
And I think, to your point, we can talk ourselves into anything. We can come up with as many excuses as there is time for why we can't do things or when we'll get to it. And I remember this, actually, this just popped into my head. And yet you seem to be frozen at the moment, Al. But I remember one of my dad's friends had this round, it looked like a coin, and it had on the words Al's left us, but it was a round, a fake coin. It was a disc, and on it said "to it," TOIT, and so it would be around to it. I'll get around to it. So the person would hand out this coin anytime someone said, you know what, I haven't done it yet, I'll get around to it. And it really is a visual image of what goes on, because people will say this over and over again. And as soon as I hear this word, my little hairs on my neck go up. I'm so busy. Busy is a 4-letter word. It doesn't have meaning to me. The significance of that is, you know what? I don't have time for you or time for this because I'm so busy. But are you actually being productive? Are you actually making things happen? Or are you telling yourself a story so that you can justify why it is that you're actually not getting you're not being productive or getting accomplishments made because you're so busy?
That is the human definition of superposition. I mean, that whole idea that I'm so busy that I'm not able to get any of the things done that I need to get done is that me not being in a definite state because I'm more comfortable being in an indefinite state. I'd rather be in an undefined state. And when people ask me, why are you indefinite? I mean, they never use that word exactly. They just say, what the hell's going on and how come it's not done yet? When people say things like that, my answer is, well, I've just been so busy. I mean, that's my answer. That's me basically saying, I don't really want to talk about it. I mean, the truth is, I've been busy streaming this Netflix series that I really like. I'm on season 8, there's 20 seasons, that kind of thing. I mean, I get around to it, but right now I really need to watch this show about people pretending to be other people. It's amazing to me what people think busy means. And, but if I just say busy, well, then you won't, because you know me well enough to know that you'll ask me, well, what does that mean, busy? What are you doing instead?
I'm going to ask you that. But here's something I want you to consider. Let's say you are watching something that's live streaming. Okay. I just started watching Outlast the Jungle. Okay. And I'm not sitting there just glued to it. I'm actually doing some things, some administrative things at the same time. And the only reason I have it on is not because I need to hear the noise or I'm uncomfortable being alone. I like to watch strategy unfold. I like to watch. I have no idea who these people are. I don't care who they are. They're put into teams, and then there's an ultimate prize. And obviously, you have to outlast, outwit, outsmart, like on Survivor, the other people to get the money. And so you watch the strategy unfold. You watch the relationships develop. That's why I like reality TV show competitions like Survivor. So my point is, if you're watching something, maybe you're watching this right now, and you walk away with a piece of information, that's valuable. That's not busy just sitting there doing nothing. You're learning, you're growing, you're taking the information and you're incorporating it somehow into your life.
Well, you're being a little easy on me, and I appreciate that. But and thank you for that. But
You're welcome.
but in reality, I mean, the reality of reality television is that, yeah, I mean, if that's on kind of in the background, and every now and then you kind of look up at it, but you're not totally focused on that because you're actually doing something that's making you productive in your regular life, then that's like wallpaper. That's different. I mean, that's just wallpaper. But if you're doing that and saying that that means you're busy, and as a result of that, you're not able to get your taxes done until midnight on April 14th, until the actual last moment, then what you're really doing is kidding yourself. You're kind of fooling yourself. So I could just tell you from a project manager's point of view, it's the inspiring of people to get the first step started that ultimately leads to a successful project. I mean, it is that when you know what the steps are, which is project management, traditional project management, and you know what the first step is because it's on that list of steps that then you can begin to translate what you know into what needs to be done, because that gives me a list of things that I can check off. And if I can get people excited about the result enough, then they'll be willing and able and actually enthusiastic about taking that first step. And that's another thing. You really need to celebrate the accomplishment of that first step, because that's what inspires everybody to take the second, third, fourth, and 30th steps that it's going to take to get this stupid thing done. And that, I mean, that's really, and that's something I admire about you, because I think the ability to break a big thing down into little things and then do those little things that are going to lead to the big thing, and not accept a lot of the noise in your life that distracts you from that. Instead, deflect all that. And even though the noise might be interesting and even entertaining, the accomplishment that the thing that you're trying to accomplish draws you so much that you can tune all that out. And that's something you've always been able to do. And I think that's what makes you such a great coach. Am I wrong about that? I mean, isn't that what, not allowing people to get away with their own crap? I mean, when they that whole, how do you hold somebody accountable how do you do that? How do you do that?
You have to do it in a diplomatic way, but I am very direct, as you know.
I've never heard that before.
Since 2019, I don't like to waste time going around and around. And so I will, when I'm working with someone, I do private advisory, which is a completely different level than coaching, but I do coaching and private advisory. I will bring it up. Have you ever considered the fact that you are basically telling yourself a story because you don't want to do X, Y, and Z? Or how long have you actually been working on this part of the project? And I might have someone say, well, it's been 2 years. What have you accomplished in those 2 years? Nothing. So what's holding you back? And that's the key question. There's always something holding people back. And one of the things I want to bring up to you, because you work with teams with ProFit for Teams, and I've been on teams for my entire corporate career, now leading a team, is you think about the bell-shaped curve. 80% of the people are just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And they're not really that excited, motivated to move to the next level, where you have the top 10% of people who are interested. Give me more information. Let me learn more. Let me take on more. Let me do more. And then that other 10% that's half dead, they hardly have a pulse, but they show up because they want a paycheck. They have nowhere else to go. They like the socialization. It's almost like if you look at a fitness facility, most of the people there, year after year after year, they look exactly the same. Nothing has changed. They haven't lost weight, maybe small milestones, but then you have 10% who are constantly pushing the envelope, and then 10% that, might be putting on makeup, walking around, sitting in the lobby, having a conversation, because that's what it means to them. So you have to tap into each person's why. And then in a very professional way, you've got to be able to call people out on their own BS, if you will.
Okay. So what does it take to succeed in the objective sense, right? I mean, just the word success, which we use a lot. What does it take to succeed in an objective way? Well, the second thing it takes is what we've been talking about, which is how do you take that success, whatever you imagine it to be, break it down into steps, and then get started on step one and get excited enough about step one that you do step one. And after you've done step one, you use the energy of excitement and celebration from that to draw you. I shouldn't say drive, because it really isn't self-propelled more than anything. What draws me into doing the second step after I know that I've done the first step? And how do I finally become less indefinite and more definite? And that really is breaking things down into steps. And I think that's kind of coaching, right? I mean, that's coaching. But here's the second issue. The second issue is, if my ultimate end state are wagons with wooden wheels drawn by horses, and I believe the world is headed away from the automobile into horse-drawn carriages, and that's my belief. And in order to realize that dream, I've identified steps of getting horses and building carriages and making wheels and doing all that stuff. In other words, if I have a crappy idea, there's no amount of energy that I can put into the execution of the individual details of it that's going to cause that idea to be wanted by anybody else other than me. So
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. And I'll give an example.
Yeah. Okay.
Point.
Well, I want to hear this one.
Point counterpoint. Okay. So during the pandemic, I became part of this program to get certified in meditation. And long story short, they were bringing in people each week to talk about something, and they were business people, because meditation, mindfulness, etc., is very big in corporate America as well. And this person charges $25,000 an hour for coaching. And so I was in shock, speechless. I went to the person's website to see, what is it this person's doing? What's this person's background? And the entire premise was that she needed 4 people in a year. She wanted to make $100,000. And all she had to do was convince 4 people that what she was offering had value. And the first year she had 6 people. And then it grew exponentially. So if you have an idea to go back to horse-drawn carriages, maybe you will find someone who loves the historical aspect of it, or someone who has a farm and wants to give buggy ride. I don't know what it is, but all you'd have to do is convince a small number of people that this is a concept. And you're so passionate about it, the way you're talking about it, you draw people in. They're like, let me see what he's doing. I've got to be part of this.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's 20, how much? $25,000?
20. See, I got your attention with that too.
Yeah. That got me. That kind of worked me up. Go ahead. So how much?
$25,000 an hour.
An hour. Okay. So you've got some head of some royal family in the Middle East, right? I mean, now we're talking about money that at $25,000 an hour, you're going to rack up quite a bill in a very short period of time. And working with somebody who may or may not have a terrific idea, who knows whether the idea itself is any good. Your goal in working with them is to help them understand what it's going to take to get that idea off the ground, however bad that idea might be, whatever that might be. And if you're going to tell them that your services in helping them accomplish that is worth $25,000 an hour, It's like you said, if I can get $1 million a day for consulting, then I don't really only have to work about 1 day a week.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? To
And
make a
by the
whole
way,
lot of money.
you just mentioned something. You said a bad idea. I'm not going to ever tell someone they have a bad idea because that would be me judging them. What I would say is I'd ask them to look at it from both sides. What research have you done? What is the demand, the willingness to pay? That's a huge important term. What is the willingness to pay for the carriages, for your service, $25,000 an hour? What research have you done? And if people cannot justify it in any way, then I'll ask them to go and get the information, do the work so that they can justify it. And if they can't find it on their own and they're using AI or they're working with consultants, is it possible that there may be another idea that you could focus on in the interim, which might be bringing you more success, more happiness, etc.?
God, that I think that's now you're getting into what is it that makes Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck worth $25,000 an hour.
I don't charge that, but thank you.
But that's what makes you that's potentially what makes you worth that, because it's you're reminding me of an experience I had a few years ago living in New York. For whatever reason, I decided to join the Manhattan Yacht Club, mostly because, well, I wanted to learn how to sail. I thought it would be a fun thing to do, and it was.
Always
It was
learning something new about you. I love it.
Well, there you go. So here I am on the Hudson River on a boat, doing all the things a sailor needs to do in order to get from Lower Manhattan, which is downriver on the Hudson, to Upper Manhattan. The goal was, it's really such a dumb idea. I just can't believe the goal was to get to the 79th Street Boat Basin, which is where they serve a terrific lunch. And in order to get upriver to the 79th Street Boat Basin on a sailboat from Lower Manhattan against the tide on the Hudson River in crummy weather, on top of that, you need to leave at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you're lucky, you'll be there by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, a MetroCard, which means you're using this very expensive boat and a crew of 2 other friends of yours and a tremendous amount of effort, moving sails around and pulling on sheets and getting all kinds of stuff rigged in order to accomplish this, when you could have gotten to the 79th Street Boat Basin with a MetroCard for $1.50, in about 20 minutes altogether from Lower Manhattan. I could have done it with a MetroCard, but no, I had to use this boat. So earlier I said, what if somebody's big vision is to build a carriage that's drawn by a horse? Because people may prefer carriages drawn by horses, right? They might. And I referred to that as a bad idea because, I mean, who's really going to ever want to replace we replaced horses with cars. Why are we ever going to want to go back? Well, there are certain ceremonial opportunities for horse-drawn carriages where the carriage is gilded and covered in gold and the horses are specially bred. And there's as insane as that idea might be, for the market of people that are looking for a horse-drawn carriage to carry the next King of England in a parade to be crowned, well, that's a business opportunity, like a yacht. Boats make no sense for getting around. You can fly on a plane, you could use the subway. You don't need a boat to get around. But so a boat in itself, it's outside of certain applications, is kind of a stupid idea. I mean, really, except people use them. And they're not such a bad idea for certain applications. I think, well, okay. So you have this other book that you just released too, that's Don't Give Away Your Value.
Yes, I have it right here.
How convenient. Stop giving away your value. Why don't you, so when you know that you're worth $25,000 an hour, because you've heard other people who are not even as good as you are, might be charging that. How do you follow the advice of your book? And
I love that because that is a difficult one. And that's why I wrote the book. Because if you think about it, whatever you're doing in life, even in your personal life, how much of your value are you giving away? So let's just talk personally. Let's say that you spend X amount of time on the phone. So and so calls you up unprompted out of nowhere and wants to have a chat. And by the time you get off the phone, maybe you enjoyed the call, maybe you didn't. Maybe the person just loves to talk. It's an hour. It's an hour and 15 minutes. It's half an hour. Then by the end of the day, maybe you've had 2 or 3 phone calls like that. Maybe you're calling the cable company for people who still use cable, and you get the run around. You're on the phone. By the time you know it, it's an hour and a half. You and I actually did a role play on that 5 years ago.
I remember that.
Calling customer service. So the point is, we spend a lot of time out of our 24 hours giving away our value. Now, as a peace ambassador, as someone who really believes in supporting, helping other people, I do believe it's important to lift people up. I do believe it's important to help people, to mentor, but there has to be a limit to it, because if you're always taking care of other people, you're not taking care of yourself, and it's going to show up. So in your family, if you're the one who does everything, you might enjoy the accolades. Oh, so-and-so, you do everything for our family. Where will we be without you? And then by the end of the day, the end of the month, the end of the year, you're kind of like, you know what? I'm really sick of this, actually. Yeah, it's nice that people say that, but I don't feel like doing it anymore. Do your own work, carry your own load, do your chores, whatever it is you're supposed to do. It starts building up, and it's the same thing in business. Whatever your services are, if you're consistently going, you know what? I will drop my price. You know what? I will give you a discount. You know, I'll throw in this and I'll throw in that. Eventually, you're going to have people who don't respect you anymore because they're used to you giving away your value. And when you finally realize it and you stand up and say, you know what, I'd love to work with you, but these are my prices. These are the packages. This is what it costs to do business. And then people can say yes or no. But when you stand up for yourself like that, that basically commands respect. And the person whose respect is most important is your own. You learn to respect yourself. Now, on those same lines, Al, people can be in fear. What if I don't give a discount? What if I don't do what they ask? What if I don't throw in this? What if? And now you're constantly second guessing yourself. And then you get the deal. I have seen this happen. It has happened to me. And they are the worst clients to work with. And that is a judgmental statement I can back up with evidence. They want everything for nothing. And then it's like by the end of the day, you realize you lost money. You're frustrated. You're aggravated. And then the relationship isn't going to go on anyway. The same thing with personal relationships.
You must be this tall to ride this ride.
That's right. I love that.
Period. You must be this tall to ride this ride. You know, I think there's a huge lesson in that, because our old friend cognitive dissonance kicks in. When we keep doing things for free or nearly free, we define ourselves in terms of doing that, exactly that, giving that away. And after a while, it becomes self-reinforcing. So while you're watching your bank account shrink because you're spending all this money to deliver services to people who really aren't even using the services, but expecting you to keep providing them for free over and over and over again, you're really doing, not only are you not doing yourself a service, obviously, but you're not even serving the people you think you're serving, because that's not really even helping them. I mean, they're not really being helped by that either. So you don't make the difference by giving away what you have. That's not how you make a difference. You make a difference by making a difference and receiving value in exchange for that service, whatever that might be. And I think that's a great message too, because there's so many people who do so many things for no money at all, and they keep waiting to be discovered. I guess a lot of people just wait because they hear stories of other people all of a sudden catching fire. They figure it's just a matter of waiting until you catch fire, but that isn't really true. I mean, you've got to light that fire yourself, don't you?
Absolutely. And a last point I want to make on this topic is, I remember a few years ago, I was introduced to someone, and this person was doing a lot of keynote speeches. And the person had said, listen, if you want to do keynotes, you've got to do a few without charging so that you get your name out there. And I ran into the person again, and now the person's at a completely different level and everything's paid for. And so I said, what would you recommend to someone who wants to move to the next level? And the person says, first of all, you have to have a good message, a message that's solid, that resonates, that people want to hear. And then you don't go unless it's paid for. And maybe you sit for 6 months, maybe you sit for a year, but you let it be known that this is what you offer, this is the value you bring, and this is what you charge. And I think that's a very fair statement, because if you don't believe that you're worth X dollars, then you're never going to get that money. So for me, with the $25,000, that was something someone else was charging. I feel that $25,000 an hour is not my price point. My price point is about $800 an hour. And part of the reason for that is I feel that I over deliver at 800. I can get repeat business. I can make a difference. At 25,000, maybe I feel like I have imposter syndrome, but I don't know what I could bring in an hour for $25,000 that I would say, you know what, I think that was worth it. So I'll keep working on that.
I think that's great. I know we're about to wrap it up, and I was going to say it for the hour that nearly an hour that we've just spent. I think anybody who's listening, especially to you, has gotten their $800 worth, even if they haven't paid it. I mean, there has been $800 worth of value in what you've had to offer just in this 1 hour that we've spent together. And the second thing is to remember, Celine Dion, if you go to watch a Celine Dion performance, or if you book, well, I don't think she's performing anymore, but if you book her to move in residence in a large casino venue in Las Vegas for the year, because it's going to draw an audience. And part of the price of admission for Celine Dion is that you have to give her a bowl of M&Ms in her green room every day, but only the blue M&Ms and no other colors, which means you got to hire somebody to separate out all the colors from 100 bags of M&Ms to make one bag of M&Ms that are the right color for her, right? She's worth it. And she asked for it and she insists on it. And you're just going to do it if Celine Dion is what you want. And
you don't put any emotions on it. It's basically, this is the cost of doing business. And again, it comes back to what is your willingness to pay? Because I think people get so caught up in the emotions of it. If you want this service, this product, whatever it is, then you have to be willing to pay for it. And many times people want to go and negotiate. And then by the time you're finished negotiating, there's nothing left. There's no value, because both people have to walk away feeling satisfied. And if it's just one person and not the other person, then that to me is not a good negotiation. It's not going to be repeat business.
Great. Okay, we got to wrap.
Yes.
You got to go. You've got lots of other stuff to do. How do people get a hold of you? Here's a change of pace.
I'm pretty easy to find. You can find any information about me by just Googling me, but you can go to our 2 YouTube channels. We would love to have people join us. We're over 112,000 on USA Global TV and Radio, where we've earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award for over 100,000 subscribers. And on Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, we've crossed over 40,000 subscribers. How do people get in touch with you, Al?
Pretty amazing. You can email me at al@pro-fit4teams.com, or you can call me at 212-480-3730. Hey, $250 a person. Pro Fit for Teams. $250. We can negotiate, but I will never go lower than $249.95. That's like Earl Scheib. Remember that? I can paint that car for $19.95.
I'm glad to see you have your limits.
Yeah,
we're going to close out with a video clip that is really thanking all of our fans around the world. So let's take a look. And thank you for being with us. We'll be back with our next episode after this. And Al and I will be back next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Jack.
Thank you. Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Hey you, psst. Yes you, watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.